Hope you're doing all right. OBS is consistently being a bit of a butt. Oh, I'm fine. So let me make my picture bigger because I actually have like really nice overlay that you can't see because for whatever reason OBS doesn't want to show it anymore. So there you go. All right, let me catch up on the chat. Got to scroll up a bit. Has everyone checked out Joey the baby sea otter at the Vancouver Aquarium? He's quite the emotional manipulator. Hello, Michael. You were first today. What's going on? Hey, Critical Cripple. What you doing? Aunt Jer. I'm not. I'm feeling pretty great, Aunt Jer. Where is everyone? Am I missing something? I think did we all show up? All right. Hey, family. The family. What's going on? What's up? Nether, how you doing? Titan, how you doing, man? You doing all right? Catching up. Somebody told Tony to shut up. Goodness, guys. Microraptor, hello, how you doing? I'm catching up on the chat. Okay, everybody's doing all right? Cool beans, yeah? Yep, so today I'm having my coffee. Hello, Geo Sam. I got over here, I got Nina the science dog. She sits like perfectly, like just right there. I just pulled my mic out of the thing. Let's not do that. All right. Yeah, I had a karaoke night over on somebody else's channel. It was his idea, actually, I believe. A B. Hi, B. B-E. Did I miss somebody? Oh, God. Just B. Yeah, so, we're doing all right. Dave, all right. We're all here. It's Saturday morning. So I found some really cool stuff on the internet. If you haven't checked out, like, the National Science Foundation, they have absolutely amazing research that they do, or at least they fund research, and so there's lots of really cool stuff. So for this episode, that dog, that she does all of the science, she's my supervisor. She's actually my supervisor. She makes certain I do it correctly, at least she's really nice about it. She gets quite demanding for cuddles. Oh, being mindful. Okay, there we go. That's okay. Afternoon here on my side of this not flat earth. I do now. Thank you. Oh, goodness. So, what are you guys doing? You guys doing all right? She is a very cute supervisor. She does demand cuddles often. And she wants, attention sometimes. And when she wants attention, she'll come over and she'll put her paw on me, and she'll look at me and she'll be like, she'll put her paw on me and she'll just be like, I need some attention. I need some cuddles. So yeah, so I was up late doing a karaoke night on another channel. My goodness. Yeah, she's about the size of a shoe, guys. Like, there's some shoes behind her. Look, these are Kevin Smith shoes. These are his actual shoes. Look at that. She's about the size of a Kevin Smith shoe. That's harassment. Talk to HR. True, Jared. True. When supervisors demand cuddles, it's time to have a conversation with HR. Oh my goodness. So, you guys notice this is today what we're talking about. COVID-19 updates, human plasma generators, slingshot spiders, and tornado simulations. I mean, how awesome does that get? I mean, like, for real. HR will refer you to CR, right? Um, HR. Oh gosh. You know, I wonder if your supervisor likes hugs or wants to hug you. If you're okay with the hugs, then, it should be fine. But if they require hugs as part of the job and you're not comfortable with that, I think that would be a problem. That's something to think about for that. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. So, a lot's going on in the news. A lot is going on in the news. And stuff's been happening on Twitter with a certain individual, and and Narvardi and I will discuss this tomorrow on This Week in BS. We've been sending each other stuff to discuss on our show. Um, COVID 19's real, guys. It's absolutely real. Um, and so is racism. Systemic racism's real. COVID 19 is a real thing. Um, it's seeing people who have completely jumped off into the deep end and start perpetuating uh, conspiracy theories and racist rhetoric when they were once respected. Oh my goodness. It's just, oh my gosh. It's really strange. It's a strange thing to watch. Um yes, I cover a lot of science and debunk, and I debunk woo. Yeah, golly. Yep, we talk about a lot of stuff. And if you have questions in the chat, this is a very interactive thing. I'm hoping to get back where people can vote for a topic. And if you have topic suggestions, I still take those, because I like to know what it is that the audience wants to learn about. So there you go. Okay, now I know. Is there a racist angle to the pandemic? Um, oh my gosh. Since we have in you know, I since we have so much societal unrest, particularly with dealing in the instances of police brutality and the protests, there are there are people who are lashing out at particularly store owners and stuff like that. Hey, Golden Coin. If I haven't said hi to you and you're watching, say hi in the chat and I'll be like, hey, what's up? You know? So let me know. Um, and so, store owners who are people of color, they're getting a lot of flack from individuals who don't want to wear masks. And you always have some kind of racist angle for that. But what I was talking about is there's a person, and I don't know if you're familiar with him. I didn't really learn about him until a few months ago. I hadn't really paid any attention to him so much. And he used to be like the president of an atheist charity organization. And apparently he's been on Fox News. He wrote a book. He was at a height of his job. Um, and uh, then there were sexual assault allegations, and he and the people in at that particular charity organization, I think it's the atheists. It's an atheist organization, IAA. They felt it necessary to remove him from his position because it seemed as if he was using his position as president of this in order to manipulate women into having sexual relations. And in a dynamic like that, where you have somebody who is the head, the president, the problem you run into is they can't really consent if they're working for you. So, yes, David Silverman. So, major evictions were created. No civil address, no vote, all manufactured to control the vote. Yeah, no, that's not true. I know people. I actually have witnessed people get evicted from their house and live in their cars now. So yeah, it's the others. Yeah, that's pretty us versus them. Oh, part of the reason he was dismissed was alleged misuse of funds as well. Okay, so we have several issues with this particular, with David Silverman. Um, and, we're going to, Nervardi and I are going to get into a little bit about some interactions I had with him on Twitter. And it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. Um, oh my goodness. Ah, he's now perpetuating COVID-19 conspiracies, and he says that racism isn't real and police brutality isn't a thing. So and he has no evidence whatsoever to support any of his position. He called me a child and started swearing at me because I was quoting his own words to him. And he's like, "You're making me look evil." And I'm going, "I don't need to make you look evil. You're doing a good enough job yourself, pushing racist rhetoric. You're like, my dude, I don't need to do a thing. You're going around." It's like, he's one of the individuals now. And I've said this before about different people, particularly ones that start to have like a huge presence, and that they double down. They double down and triple down and quadruple down on a really bad take rather than just saying, maybe I got that wrong. Oh gosh, you're right. I did get that wrong. So I get stuff wrong, and then I'm like, you know what? I got that wrong. And so let me tell you how I got it wrong. This is what I did. And then I go, but here's the correct thing, and I know this moving forward. I mean, you can handle that, but some individuals cannot cope with being wrong. So let's see. 1350. 1350. He has bought into the 1350 thing. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So I'll cover some of that too then. I need to look up a bit more. Yeah, racism isn't real and police brutality isn't real. Yes. Well, he's an atheist, and he said racism is not real, just like Jesus isn't real. And I'm like, yeah, we have studies on this, David. And I tried to point to him that and send him a paper about wrongful convictions. He also thinks it's completely fine for police to beat up people if they're prior felons. And I'm like, do you know how many wrongful convictions there have been? Well, what if they're in the middle of a felony? So he went from saying it's fine to do it if they've had prior convictions, and then he went for, well, if they're in the middle of a felony, that's okay. And I'm like, okay, defending yourself is not the same as, if it just, oh my God. And so all of the mental gymnastics he's doing to justify police shooting black men in the back and kneeling on their neck to where they're suffocated. It's racist rhetoric. And I'm like, you realize you're just shy of putting the sheet on at this point, David. And he got mad when I said that. But, oh my God. Smart people can be stupid too. A brain is something you use, not something you just have. Well, there's always potential to be smart, but when people start to ignore evidence, and this is I've talked about this before. And I really need to work on that video. I'm making a video for Godless Moms organization, and I've hit up a couple of experts on this. And I also gave a talk at Nerd Night. That would be really cool to do here as well. And I'll get to the cool stuff. But yes, you have two sides of your brain. You have your instinctive, primal side for I have to protect myself, and then you have the other side of your brain where it's your rational side. So if you were out camping in the woods and you hear a breaking of like a twig or a branch or something, you might start freaking out and go, "Oh my gosh, is it Jason? Who is it? Who's coming to get me? Is it a bear?" And you start freaking out. That's your primal side, the fear-based response in order for self-preservation. But your rational side should kick in and go, okay, that was a light snap. It was probably like a little fox or something. It's nothing heavy, or a little squirrel rustling around in the leaves. I can calm down now. But if that fear side is allowed to go unchecked for too long, that rational side gets really, really quieter. And so, what I'm seeing with certain individuals, particularly the ones who are anti maskers and the David Silvermans and individuals like that, oh my gosh, self preservation is just constantly going to where it's just raw emotion. And that rational side isn't really kicking in. And there's different studies you can look at, and different psychologists and doctors talk about this on how we might actually see a huge rise in conspiracy theorists the more change that there is. And so we have individuals who are pro Trump and pro all of these things. They're afraid of change. Okay? They're afraid of change. And because they're afraid of change, that fear side is constantly going, and that rational side is getting quieter and quieter because they're afraid that something's going to happen to them. So they ignore all the stuff about COVID-19. They treat it like it's not real. They don't wear their masks because they're like, but you would think, hey, I should wear a mask. But if they wear a mask, and that requires them to sit and be rational and think about why they're wearing a mask. And that's just not happening. So it's interesting. Golden coin. Racism only exists in the eye of the beholder. If one sees racism in another, doesn't the individual perceiving one as racist have to see the racism in themselves? Yes. We all have some form of racism. And that doesn't make us a bad person as long as you address the fact we all have bias. We do. I mean, we're wired to have bias, but that's that fear side, isn't it? And then the rational side should kick in and go, okay, I can't make generalized sweeping statement like this. For instance, people who see a group of kids with the same colors on, oh, that's a gang, they're gonna hurt me, and you're like, oh wait, no. Rational side kick in. It's not a gang, it's a basketball team. You see what I mean? And so that rational side is supposed to kick in and assess what's really going on. And so for people who are inherently racist, that inherent bias is going, it's completely unchecked. Completely unchecked. I heard a sound, but I don't see. Somebody, thank you for subscribing. Hey, Lawrence Onak, how are you doing? So that's kind of what we're seeing with right there. Do you see much overlap between conspiracy theorists and political leaning? Now, I think this is probably where I would default to some kind of studies. I know Pew Research does a lot of stuff. They do a lot of research associated particularly with politics, with perceptions of society. We can have a look on that, and I can look that up here in just a second. But to get back to golden coin, I'll catch up on everybody. So yes, we all have bias. I have bias. I have formulated opinions that could have walked the lines, well, probably did walk the lines of ableist or racist or even sexist. But then you have to sit and you've got to like you have to look at the evidence. And so it's very difficult for some people to, well, a lot of people actually, to address the fact that they are biased. We are all biased. That doesn't make us bad people. What makes us bad people is if we allow that bias to go unchecked, affect our decision making, particularly if it's going to hurt other people. So bias in politics with politicians, bias in the medical field. There are doctors who are biased. We have so much information and statistics on how underserved Black women are, particularly when it comes to maternity and ignoring their pain levels. There's so much information about this. So even medical doctors can have debilitating biases towards patients, and this is something that's not talked about so much because people are like, well, they're a doctor, they should know what they're talking about. Well, they're still human. Okay. They're still human. Scientists are still human. When we perform research, our brains are looking for patterns in things. It's called clustering illusion. So while we're looking through trying to find our pattern, our nice linear graph or something to find, causation with the correlation, and you're going, okay, this is why we have multiple instruments to address that, to make certain that what we're seeing is actually the causation. And so that's why you have the best papers. There will be lots of different types of instruments involved to reinforce that their hypothesis is correct, right? So let's see. Yes, even smart people can get overridden by self-bias. You have Dunning-Kruger. Overconfidence in your ability to do something. That's, watch YouTube. YouTube has got so much Dunning-Kruger, followed by confirmation bias of people, looking for evidence that reinforces their own opinion rather than looking at something that contradicts it. Look at stuff that contradicts your opinion. Have a look at it. It doesn't mean you have to change your opinion right away, but look at it. Start, branch out and have a look at what, others are saying. Oh, goodness. There's a Glober mom, godless mom. Yes, thinking does require a lot of energy. And that's why our brains have evolved many shortcuts to avoid actually thinking rational and still survive more often than not. That's true, Nether. We need those shortcuts for quick snap decisions, right? And we develop those shortcuts, particularly with our preferences and with our life experiences. I will avoid large groups of men because of my history and, having been hurt by different men. I'm like, so the anxiety kind of kicks in. My natural, tendency to want to protect myself kicks in when I feel like I'm alone or cornered, or there's, even if these men, they may be very wonderful human beings, I don't know that. They don't wear signs. So I don't have the luxury of going, okay, let me just go walk up and talk to these random folks because, I'm certain they're great. They won't hurt me like the other guys did. I don't know that. So those decisions that we make, that bias that's there, is meant for self-preservation. Now, if I went around to that group and started screaming at them and calling them they're all rapists and horrible things, and I just start screaming at them, now that bias that I have that's meant for me to kind of protect myself, I'm now oppressing another person. I'm now abusing another person because of that bias. That's the difference. So because of my past, I'm like, okay, I don't feel comfortable in certain situations, But I'm not going to go up there and scream at every man like, how, you're just like all of them. That's that fear side, when my rational side's like, you know what, why would I do that? It's like, so the rational side, we need to work on that and get that a bit louder. So a lot of people, particularly if they're racist, they're just like, but they're not thinking clearly. They're not accepting evidence that, or even coming up with the idea that some, like, police brutality is real, and racism is a thing, and here's all of this stuff, because, so it's kind of like that. Yes, microraptors, sometimes they cause problems. So, and Simon had asked about conspiracy theorists and political leaning. I'm seeing a trend, but I'm just one person. I would need to look at, like I said, Pew Research, and perhaps I can pull that up here in a bit. Oh my gosh, Silverman is just, I wonder, and I just wonder. I really think he needs to go to a doctor or something. I'm not really sure how I could have racism. It would have to be against Australian Aboriginals, Eskimos, or Amazon rainforest denizens, I think. I mean, we all have some level of racism, and it takes it takes dealing with that. Slingshot spiders with, what's that? Curtis, hey, you know what, I need to get on topic. Those orders were the result of Starfleet's ignorance and fear. I can alleviate your ignorance as for your fear. 7 of 9. Fair enough, A. Lawrence Onek. Um, Man. Racism is never going to go away. Okay, it's never going to go away, but we need to limit its effect on oppressing other people. We need to keep that in mind. Yes, fear and ignorance are rampant in politics these days. They really, really are. And this is why critical thinking and scientific literacy is really, really important. In science, peer review is partly to try and get past those biases, right? Yes. And so when something undergoes peer review, you have several different experts in the field. They'll sit there and they'll go through your data, and then they'll generate questions. And nothing ever gets, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know of any paper that just gets through peer review first try and everything's fine. And if it happens, that's a shady journal. Okay. Anytime you read a paper and you're doing a peer review, it should elicit more questions. Okay. So a peer reviewer will sit there and read, and they'll generate more questions like, okay, well, how do they know that it was this thing with this instrument and not this thing over here? And so they'll respond. When I had a paper going under peer review, from I think there were 3 different reviewers, and then they went through, and it took like 10 scrolls to get through all of the questions that needed to be addressed. And so they wanted more experiments done. Do this experiment again and try it with this. So you even have to go back and do more experiments to reinforce the conclusion. And so it's not just, oh, hey, answer a few of these questions and you're good. Sometimes it's answer a few of these questions, but there will always be one reviewer who blasts you and says, go back and do at least this other experiment here to show that it's the case. So, yeah. Yeah, there are many conspiracy theorists that are right wing. We also have the issue with propaganda. And so that's something Nervardi and I will cover tomorrow, the problem with propaganda. You have a thing called bandwagon bias. The more people who believe a thing is true, the more it's perceived as being true. Thank you, Daily Mail, for anti-vaxxers. That's a huge thing, is the news. So you get like InfoWars and Fox News and individuals like that. Like individuals in entertainment. I mean, Fox News isn't even actually news. It's considered an entertainment channel, and that's what they say they are. So they're allowed to post whatever they want because they're not a news network. They're not categorized as a news network, so they can skirt under those regulations. Yes, bias management, bias control is drilled in science research training. Yes. And it's hard because you don't want to be wrong. But, it's okay to be wrong. It's how you learn. Yeah, golly. Oh, I'm catching up on everything. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. A possibly oversimplified example: if you have a bunch of apples and you know one apple has a worm in it, but you can't know which one before you take a bite, you'll be nervous about all the apples. Exactly. And that's a natural response. But you're not going to go and start abusing the apples. You don't need to pick them up and start throwing them. So it's like, how dare this worm? So it's kind of like that. Most overused pet peeve term, common sense. I hear on the net. It's common sense. I am all the other races. Titan. Oh, goodness. How can one begin to even come to a conclusion that somehow they know how others think through one's own bias? Okay. I don't know 100% what goes on in anybody's brains. All right. I don't know 100%. They are going to have to express certain types of things towards me. In addition to that, they're also going to have, I can look at their behavior. And so we know certain rhetoric and we know certain types of behavior are racist, And so you can find those patterns, and that's kind of what we look for. If you look at a lot of the different studies associated with systemic racism, all of this, you can find trends and patterns and behaviors associated with that. And that tends to be what's studied for that. Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to... Hey, Brian. How are you? Ad populum fallacy. Oh, you love my mug. Thank you. Thanks, Simon. I just ironically proved my own point. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what who knows. Hey, Missy Ann, how you doing? Oh, yep, Fox News being not news because it's an entertainment company is propaganda that everyone knows is true because people believed it. Yes, you know. What's that? I'm going to pull this up. Did Fox News change its accreditation? Oh, did it? Because did I learn something today? Did I do something wrong? There's a lot to unfold in this meme. Are not accredited news stations to begin with. Okay. Ah, from news. Oh, that's false. Oh, I got something wrong, guys. I got something wrong. Thank you for sending that to me. Snopes, I proved it. I proved my own point. So I got something wrong. Guess what? I'm not going to double down and be a jerk about it. So I got this wrong, guys. I believed a propaganda thing. Check that out. Thank you for sending that to me, Tony. Now I learned something today. Fox News is not an accredited news station. They have changed their accreditation, so this may not make you happy. While the term accredited news station may sound official, no regulatory body even exists that would accredit Fox News as a news station. In addition, a spokesperson for Fox News said the meme's claims were false. It conflates over-the-air broadcasts and cable broadcasts, as well as Fox Broadcasting Company and Fox News Channel. Okay. All right, so I'm learning things. I thought I saw Dan Rather say something about how it is that Fox News can skirt because the fact um pub oh, okay, here it is. Here it is. Thank you. It does say it on here. The FCC, this is what, okay. So the FCC, I'm going to blow this up. Because I saw Dan Rather, I really need to support. I really need to support Snopes. So they regulate the airwaves, but cable channels rely on subscribers, viewers, and advertisers and beyond the government control. So this is why ABC News and CBS News and other news that go over the airwaves are regulated by the government to ensure bias-free. This doesn't apply to cable networks. Okay, that's what Dan Rather was talking about. Okay, so thank you. I learned stuff today, and I'm not going to be a jerk and double down, you know, and say, I'm sorry, you're wrong, Tony, and then I'm going to swear at you. Oh my goodness, being wrong both. All right. I have a pretty high standard of evidence too. You know, and that's the thing. You know, I can be wrong. It's all right. I mean, it's fine. How much, Brian asks, how much has the politics worn you out when you are a scientist and would rather address science? You can't separate politics and science, often because politics funds the science and pushes the direction that it goes. You know, stem cell research being an example of that. It's one of those things. Let's see. Yes, Fox is not held accountable for its accuracy because it's not technically regulated by the FDA. Alrighty. There we go. I've caught up on the chat. Now, let's get into some science, guys. I mentioned we're going to do some things here. Let's talk about tornado simulations, slingshot spiders, and some plasma generators for humans. So let's talk about the slingshot spider first. What you guys think? You want to do that one first? Alrighty. See, this used to be where I put my chat. I'm gonna remove it, and I'm gonna put your chat here. Window capture. We're gonna put your chat here because OBS is being a booger. So there we go. Time for the sciencing, because we've talked enough about not very nice people, right? Yay, science. So I'm going to put you guys here. Here we go. All right, so the slingshot spider. So again, this is nsf.gov/discoveries, or actually it's /news. I'm going to take you to the main page. This is where I get a lot of my science news. It's great, very easy to read, highly accessible language to kind of help you with that. So this is where I kind of pulled, let me see if I can make this bigger. I'm going to make this bigger. There we go. I'm going to make this bigger so you can kind of see. So I found some pretty cool stuff on here. Let's see what pops up first. New molecular computers find the right cells. Gosh, there's so much cool stuff here. Where is tornado? Here's scientists create world's most detailed tornado simulations. So check this out. So now we're learning more about mechanisms in tornadoes. And this is a particularly good thing to do because of the fact that, we can learn how tornadoes work. And if we can isolate their mechanisms, this means we can predict them a lot better. And we can also, reduce, loss of life and loss of home for a lot of people. So this is the vorticity field of a multiple vortex EF5 tornado embedded in a supercell thunderstorm. Gosh, that's just cool, doesn't it? It just looks really, really cool. So essentially, this is addressing some of these questions here. They're all open. How do tornadoes form? What ingredients do they require? And can they be predicted early enough to provide timely warnings to the public? The physics is understood. We understand the physics of tornadoes, but the small little details, always those small details, that's the thing we're constantly having to go after for that. So how are these small details maintained within supercell thunderstorms? And this is more research that we need. So these simulations help a lot with understanding that. Alrighty. So Lee Orff is one of the researchers for this particular thing. The software that Orff has developed was the first to create visualizations of fully resolved tornadoes and their parent supercells that look and behave like those seen in the real world. And so this computational capabilities that NSF, the National Science Foundation, has allowed this particular software to be developed. And so they recently presented at the Geophysical Union Fall 2019 meeting in the Meteorological Society in 2020. Oh my goodness. So yeah, there you go. So this is pretty cool. I'm trying to see. So Orff, he's been using Frontera at the Texas Advanced Computing Center. Let's have a look at them. What they got going on. Okay. We are now leaving National Science Foundation website to go to a non-government website. Okay. So here's where you can learn more about it if you want to get into the details. Texas Advanced Computing Center. Wow. So the National Weather Service has about a 70% false alarm rate. I didn't realize it was that high. So 2 out of 3 times when there's a tornado warning issued, there's no tornado. But it's still important to put those warnings out in order to save lives, right? So we don't have remote sensing technology that can capture the dynamics and physics of full storms. So these particular simulations, they would allow sensors to be developed early on in order to detect these a bit better. Look at that. That's just a really cool picture, guys. I'm like completely in awe of this sort of thing. This is great. Man. Supercell Mohawk. I mean, all of this is pretty cool. Let me catch up on the chat. Catherine Herridge at Fox is a good reporter and confirmed reports Trump talked crap on service. Yeah, I mean, I think it's on like the record in several places. Always check your sources of the news media. Let's see. Man. Yeah, better a warning without a tornado than a tornado without a warning. Yes, science and art. It's pretty cool. There's, man, false negatives are better than false positives in this case. So let's have a look. So that's really cool. So that's pretty cool science that's come out. Let's have a look at, where was it? I thought I saw Slingshot spiders. I know I had it in here. Where was it? Oh my gosh. Was it further back? Was it further back? I'm trying to see. Well, here. Let's go to page 2. I know I saw something. While I look this up, I'm going to go back here. Man, my internet is really slow today. I thought... Okay, it's got to be back on the first page. I thought I saw it. I haven't. Okay, let's do the human mechanical powered plasma. We'll do the human mechanical plasma. Powered plasma. I think so. You search. Hi, Iron Charioteer. How you doing? You have a new internet. I only have access to one internet provider. Yeah, in college, University of Wisconsin had a fantastic meteorological site, but I've been unable to find it in recent years. Is it Bella or Bella? If I say your name wrong, I'm very sorry. All right. Use search. I'm going to have to probably do that. I had it up before, and then I'm like, hey, let's go, oh, God. All right, so here we go. So this one. Human mechanical powered plasma. Researchers help create the future. Low temperature plasma device may lead to more efficient engines in use in field medicine and beyond. So that's pretty cool looking. So if you have lower temperature plasmas, because you can't have high temperature plasmas and use it in people, because that would be kind of worse. That's like not, you don't want to hurt all that. Here, you got it. Thank you. Thank you for sending me that link. See, got people on Periscope sending me links so I don't have to search. I appreciate that. We'll do that in just a minute. Ooh, it's a sleepy day. Their paper in Applied Physics Letters. Let's have a look at that. And is it behind a paywall? And by the way, if there's a paper that you ever want, you can usually find it on ResearchGate, or you can email the authors of the paper and they'll just send it to you. You don't have to actually pay for it. All right. Where is it? Huh. That's not it. Okay. All right, so they just sent you a link to Applied Physics Letters, not actually their paper. So fine. That's just great. Usually that's better than that, dude. All right. So this is called energy conversion plasma. It's an alternative to producing transient spark discharges without the need for a high voltage power supply. So if you're not familiar with plasma, that's kind of what lightning is. It's ionized gas that has the potential of carrying an electrical charge. So that's plasma. So that really cool picture there of the plasma ball, that's an example of plasma. Now, if we're able to generate plasma without having high temperatures, this could have applications in medical use. So they use the piezoelectric device to generate the plasma, and it's hand cranked. So they made this. They designed, fabricated, and tested this hand cranked piezoelectric device in order to get the plasma. So when the piezoelectric crystal is compressed, it's polarized and generates a surface voltage high enough to initiate a plasma. And they have a snail shell, allows the igniter to reset quickly so that the plasma discharge can be generated with each revolution, no matter how fast you crank. And so the team found that manually created energy conversion plasma could be most useful when integrated into devices that have rotating parts or naturally produce vibrations. Oh, that's cool. Such as internal combustion engines with oscillating pistons. All right. And so this energy conversion plasmas could make the combustion process in cars, airplanes, and cruise ships more fuel efficient. Oh, so that's pretty cool. And this was at the University of Notre Dame. Or Notre Dame, Notre Dame is, say it's Notre Dame, is it not? But it's all right. Let's see what's going on with the chat. Ball lightning. Yeah. St. Elmo's fire, right? Ball lightning's pretty cool. There's mathematical models associated with ball lightning, which is kind of cool. Plasma. Oh my goodness. I hear Jerry is here. Oh gosh. Ball lightning. Oh my gosh. Could this be useful for space travel? Probably. I mean, you would imagine if you need to generate some kind of plasma and you're doing an energy conversion, if it saves some energy, make it more efficient. I don't know, and I'm not an astronaut or anything. But it's pretty cool. All right, let's have a look at the slingshot spider. So if you have arachnophobia, might want to turn away. Not grease lightning. Go grease lightning, you're burning up a quarter of a mile. Grease lightning, go grease lightning, you are supreme. Yeah, that's actually a pretty filthy song. Everybody's so upset about WAP or WAP, WAP. They're upset about that. But you listen to Grease Lightning, it's just as, it's like pretty bad. People don't take into consideration. Let's see. Thanks for answering that question, Nether. Nether's got my back on that. Is it possible to use neutrinos as energy? It's all over the place. Probably not, as they phase in and out, and we can only detect them. I don't think we can catch them and harness them right now. But there you go. Double entendre. It's just, I mean, Grace Lightning's pretty nasty song. I mean, it's like, as far as if we're gonna start talking filthy and stuff. So Oh my goodness. Wow. Y'all are losing points in the Streamlabs thing. Oh gosh. I need to look who's ahead and get stuff together. Man, honestly, I know I haven't been streaming as much, but I'm going to just tell you guys, this pandemic is hitting so many people in different ways. I work from my house. I work from my house, and I work with a local college. And a lot of the stuff that I do, I work, like 70% of the people that attend this particular college are poverty line. And so we're seeing a decrease in enrollment, largely due to COVID-19 fears, um, life circumstances, evictions, excuse me, loss of jobs. Some people are frontline workers and they have to work even more so longer hours, without a whole lot more pay. And then you have, a healthcare crisis that's kind of going on with them. So there's so much happening that, I don't leave my house so much. And since I haven't been streaming as much, that's part of the reason why, is because my job. Now, I'm not complaining about my job. I absolutely love what I do because I get to help people be successful in their academic careers. And since 70% of them are poverty line, I get to help people bring themselves out of poverty to prosperity through education. So I love what I do. It's amazing. And I'm really proud and happy to be part of such an organization like this because I get to help people. And it's a wonderful thing to experience, to know that you're helping people better themselves. And so for these individuals that, I see people who have to, help their kids learn at home because of the pandemic. You have people who work in healthcare that I interact with. They're exhausted, so it's like, I'm going to do what I can to help them as much as I can. So I've been slacking on streaming as much to allow you guys opportunities for points, but please know that is a large portion of what I'm doing. And just so you know, guys, because of the work that I've done here, I will be giving a guest lecture to graduate students in Denmark on science communication, the technical aspects of it, how to effectively communicate science. So master's students and PhD students from various backgrounds of science, I'm one of their guest lecturers as part of their course that they've developed. And so I'll be lecturing some graduate students on science communication and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of overlap in what I do. So I am getting to where I can stream regularly on Saturdays. So we will have more opportunities for points and for prizes. I still have not forgotten about the mug. This and one of the things behind me. I'm going to grab something from my background, throw it in a box, and send it to the person with the most points. I want to give people plenty of opportunities to gain points. So it was originally going to be the end of July, but then I didn't hardly stream. And then I went on vacation in August in an RV, social distance vacationing using the park system, so, but we're getting there. All right. Goodness, I'm catching up. Okay. There we are. Yeah, Nina, she likes to rest. She's tiny, and so she's just, and so Nina, just a little history, and I'll get to the slingshot spiders here in a second. Nina is a rescue from some family who passed away. We lost 2 family members back in the springtime, and so that there was a lot of demand on trying to sort their affairs, and they had lots of animals. They had like 30 cats and 6 dogs. So Nina is a rescue from, when I use the, I don't mean rescue as she was being treated poorly. She wasn't. But when both of her owners passed away within a month or two of each other, we had to help, and these were family. So we had to help deal with the estate. We couldn't even have a funeral. It's been a hot mess, guys. And so Nina came to me to kind of help her, adjust. And she's adjusted really, really well. And she's just a little slip of a thing. And so she's she's grown very attached to me, and so that's why I have the pillow here. Because I have huge Frodo, who is a rescue from the Humane Society. He looks like a bear cub. He has gotten so big, and she's just like, big old dog here. Do not want. She will run over to me. So I was like, okay. So that's kind of how I came to get Nina, and so Nina feels safe close to me. So I'm like, okay, Nina can be the science dog. It's cool. And this is what she does, you know. And when I do my job, people do actually, they're like, how's Nina doing? Okay, great seeing you too, Brian. Take it easy. Oh goodness, in mainstream, not to mention it's used a lot as clickbait. Yes, science communication is pretty rubbish when it comes to that. Rock and roll. We want to see that lecture. That would be cool. I'll ask them if I can record it. And then if I can record it, I will. And then, you know, I can put it in the thing. It's a 45-minute talk, I think, with 15 minutes for questions. So, yeah. Do you think education should be free up until the bachelor level? Yes, honestly, I really do. I think it should be free. I think educating the population is extremely important, particularly if you want to better society and you want people to know how to better take care of themselves. We really, that's really important. People need particularly science education on how to be better advocates for their health care and make decisions for their families. We just do a disservice by not educating our population like we should. And it should be, you know. I'm catching up. It looks like there's just... What is going on here? Okay. You should never be too poor to learn. I agree. Okay, so it kept copying the same messages. I don't know why it was doing that. That's weird. All right. So, anywho, what's your views on homeschooling? I don't have any issues on homeschooling as long as the students are getting, you know, are getting a solid education. But see, that needs to be regulated to make certain that they are getting a very broad, solid education. Found it. What did you find? Let me click on that. I don't know it. I must have missed a question or something. I actually used to tutor for a homeschool. It was a religious homeschool, but, okay, futurism.com, NASA-funded scientist, new thruster light speed. Oh, okay, so you sent me something cool, Mega Drive. This is from futurism.com. I will have a look at this. Thank you for that, Bella. All right. I completely lost my train of thought. I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm sitting here drinking my coffee. It's all right. It's almost lunchtime for me now. Oh my goodness. Okay. I was thinking of something. So, anyway, religion versus science. It sounds potentially messy. They had curriculum, and it's interesting. And I worked for them about 3 years. It's okay. Why are you saying sorry? I wish all education was free up to the graduate level. That would be nice. Depending on your program, you can get funding, but even stipends on graduate level. My stipend when I was working on my second master's was $15,000 a year. That was it. That's below poverty line. And they're like, well, you don't have to pay for your education. Well, you could barely live on that. And it's like, what are you going to do? You love that mug. Well, thank you. It's Wonder Woman. You know, in Sweden, education is free. Should be free and mandatory. Oh, my goodness. You know, I think if it's not, if you're not, even on a bachelor level, even if it's like a trade school, you still need a well-rounded education. The sciences, the arts, all of that would be great. Okay, let's have a look at, okay, so I guess we should get back on topic. At the slingshot spider. So if you're scared of spiders, be careful. The internet somewhat makes education equal for all. Thanks to MOOC, I get to learn things for free. That's true. And we turned in a grant application where I work to have open education resources to move more towards that so students won't have to purchase expensive textbooks all the time. So that's from Gian Mary Castle. All right, let's have a look at this. The slingshot spider, guys. The slingshot spider stores enough energy to produce acceleration 100 times that of a cheetah. Faster than a cheetah, Faster than a cheetah. That's almost like a speeding bullet. How fast is a speeding bullet? Oh my gosh, guys. Look at this. That acceleration produces velocities of 4 meters per second and subjects the spider to forces of approximately 130 Gs. Oh my God. Okay, so if you're not, that's 10 times what fighter pilots can withstand without blacking out. So, okay, for perspective, a lot of roller coasters are about 5 Gs. Okay, about 5. Astronauts, it's probably around 10 at the highest, maybe, when, maybe that. Okay, so a bullet is 3,000 feet per second. Man, 130 Gs. But also keep in mind, spiders, since they have very little mass, they don't feel it the same as we would, right? So 130 Gs on us, we would be like kind of crushed, because we have a lot of mass compared to a spider, So, but that little spider is balling. Okay, I'm going to open link in the new tab on that. We'll see if we can have a look at that paper. Let's see. Man, that's freaking crazy. So, this is from Richard, I think it's Richard Sear. He's a program director at NSF. He says, this is an amazing observation of how spiders can withstand such G-forces, how spider silk is capable of storing tremendous amounts of energy, and how these spiders precisely control their release to target prey. So, I need to send this to PZ Myers. Exoskeleton, just saying. Fair enough, There's so much that, I actually got into like a Twitter, years ago, got into a Twitter debate about Batman's Wayne Tech and could it withstand jumping out of a building and crunching on top of like a car, like in one of the Dark Knight films. But this is cool. I need to send this to PZ Myers. He's all about spiders right now. Let's see. The Peruvian spider and its cousins stand out among arachnids for their ability to make external tools, in this case, their webs, and use them as springs to create ultra-fast motion. Their ability to hold a ready-to-launch spring for hours, so they can hold that spring. So they treat it like a spring, and then they go, And then they just like, it's like super freaking Spider-Man. And then waiting for an approaching mosquito suggests yet another amazing tool, a latch mechanism to release the spring. So they've got it held with that amount of force with a latch. Freaking natural latch. And then they go out. Oh my gosh. I'm going to send this to Peasy Myers. He would love this. So, unlike frogs, crickets, or grasshoppers, the slingshot spider is not relying on its muscles to jump really quickly. So, it doesn't rely on muscles. It relies on physics. How cool is that? When it weaves a new web every night, the spider creates a complex three-dimensional spring. If you compare this natural silk spring to carbon nanotubes or other human-made materials in terms of power or energy density, it is orders of magnitude more powerful. Oh my God. This frickin' spider makes a natural, like, spring and gets coiled up and ready to just and go out. Oh gosh, that's amazing. That's freaking amazing. Look at that. Flies and mosquitoes beware. Here comes the slingshot spider. 100 times. Man. That's freaking cool, guys. That's freaking cool. Yeah, PZ I think used to be all about cephalopods. With the proportional toughness of a spider, Spider-Man should be indestructible. No kidding. Oh my God. Yeah, the size. That's the thing. That's the problem, isn't it, Tony? You know, that's the problem, isn't it? When it's like, when you start adding mass to it because of the effects of gravity and then physics, it falls apart. Who taught the spider physics? That's a good question. The spider was very smart and was listening to all of the science that we do. Man, that's freaking amazing. Let me see if I can find. And it's Science Direct, which means it's behind a paywall. I want to see, do you have at least the data? They should make the data available. At least, in the very least. Access through your institution. Natural selection. That's right. That's how they learned that. Oh my goodness. So, I don't know. You disagree? His strength could arguably be equated or even increased by size. I don't know. See, this is where the spider learned by watching this channel. Possibly. Something you guys can have fun with if you haven't watched it with Monster Bug Wars. If you don't have arachnophobia or anything associated with that, do check out Monster Bug Wars. I sent that to PZ and he was like, I've been watching this all day. Have a go at that show. But yeah, that one's behind a freaking paywall. Boo. Boo for paywalls on that. But yeah, if ever you need something to read that's not doom and gloom of politics, check out the National Science Foundation. They actually have an app as well. I really push their stuff really hard. We're seeing some things in the U.S., particularly government-run organizations, for instance, the CDC. It's to a degree been compromised. There's fears that the FDA might be compromised soon, but the National Science Foundation, not compromised yet. As far as, and I didn't talk about I've talked a bit about COVID-19. There's some new strains, guys. There's some new strains. There's one that's more infectious. It's more infectious, and which means it can be transmitted a lot easier. So please wear a mask. Please wear a mask. Just wear one. I get really kind of irritated sometimes with individuals who think, well, the death toll is this, or with the new stuff coming out with the CDC. Okay. Death certificates don't always list the disease or the infection that caused the death of the person. Okay? There's a chiropractor. Here's a perfect example. There's a chiropractor, I believe, in Atlanta. I don't like him. He makes me very angry, and I've talked about him on when I was doing my show Audacity with Doc Savage. By the way, is doing amazing work in COVID research, and I'm proud of him. He has a new job. Proud of you, Doc. So I miss talking with him, but he's out saving the world right now, like freaking Tony Stark would, except with, immunology. So I miss chatting with him. He's my friend, but it's okay. He has to save the world right now, which is cool. I'm really happy for him, and I think it's amazing the work that he's doing. But it makes me nuts with people who continue to perpetuate this idea that, if it doesn't list it on the death certificate, then it didn't happen. And as I was mentioning, there's a chiropractor in, I believe, Atlanta. I think it's in Atlanta or Alabama. I can't remember right off. I need to go back and look at that episode. His wife had stage 4 breast cancer. He took her off of treatments, and she was like, okay, I'm going to do my husband's treatments. She ended up dying in a car accident, and that's on her death certificate, a car accident. She had stage 4 breast cancer. And so what he does is he tells people that he cured his wife of her cancer and that she died of a car accident. That's what he tells people. This is what he sells from his house. This is what he sells from his, not from his house, but from his business. This is what he sells from his business. I called the receptionist to ask what his treatments were because I was curious. And she told me all this stuff. Oh yeah, so the receptionist is perpetuating this idea that the husband cured his wife of stage 4 breast cancer and she'd be alive right now had it not been for this car accident. So, guys, just because a death certificate says that somebody died of pneumonia doesn't mean the addition of COVID-19 wasn't the thing that caused it to happen. Perhaps in this car accident, as she had to have surgery. Could it be that she had stage 4 breast cancer, played a role in her inability to heal from a surgery, from a car accident? Yes! Yes. So the comorbidities that people don't understand, or the things that are added on to that, if you had COVID-19 and you got pneumonia, that's probably a death sentence, guys. If you're already in the hospital on ventilators for COVID-19 and you get a staph infection on top of that, you're going to have a hard time recovering from that, and it's going to get worse. So it's just, that's being ignored. And individuals like David Silverman are perpetuating this idea. Oh, COVID-19 isn't lethal. Well, you're not looking at all of the data. You're not looking at all the evidence. You're just saying, well, this was exclusively COVID-19. COVID-19 only killed really this many people. But that's where we get that. I'm scared. I don't want to die from this. So I'm going to ignore anything that might make me realize that I could die from this. I'm going to ignore all of that. And I'm only going to hold on to the stuff that makes me feel better. And so that's what people do. Because they don't want the bad news. They don't want that. So it's just, And then the people who do recover from COVID-19, they don't die, but they have kidney damage. There are people who have reported kidney damage. Doctors have, kidney damage, liver damage, lung damage, all the major organs, because the receptor for the way that this virus interacts with cells, it can infect just about every cell in your body, because the receptor that it uses to infect a cell is on just about every cell in your body. So if you have a bad enough infection, you can have it hit several different systems in your body. And there's the more severe cases, I believe, have a pretty high viral load. So it's like, so when people come out and they have massive platforms like David Silverman, and they're perpetuating this information, and it's wrong, and they're like, look at this, they're appealing to emotion. And that's that frayed side. Look, guys, look, it's all a hoax. And that's what they're appealing to. They're appealing to emotion. And I'll get more into who he is tomorrow when I talk with Nervardia on This Week in BS. That'll be, I believe, 7 p.m. Central. We're going to talk about that propaganda machine and the problem with propaganda. Racism's real, and so is COVID-19. And that's actually the title for the thing. So I've already got the thumbnail together. If you guys want to check out the thumbnail, let me see. I shall pull up my Twitter. Here's my Twitter. You can find me here. I talk on my Twitter. Oh God, that was 3 years ago when I was about 20 pounds lighter. My goodness. I got a gym in my kitchen now. Thank you, Missy Ann, for the shout out. And here I am right now on Periscope. Watch this. It's going to catch up on here, and it's going to look weird. Look at that. It's like the endless... It's like the mirror in the mirror in the mirror. There we go. The mirror in the mirror in the mirror in the mirror in the mirror. It just keeps going, right? It's so funny. All right. So, let me see. Where is... Yep, here we go. So, here's the thumbnail for the next show. Please do check it out. The propaganda problem. Racism is real. And so is COVID-19. Looking at a certain Mr. Pants person on the internet, on Twitter. I really liked this particular image here because it's Pinocchio, right? It's Pinocchio. But yeah, have a follow on my Twitter. I'm also on, because OBS is being weird, you can follow me also. I have a website, ScientistMel.com. I'm going to pull that up and you can have a look. And I'll address your questions, and then I will leave you guys to it. So here's my website, ScientistMel.com. It's taking a minute to load all the pictures. I have a whole section of my site for Jackson Wheat, where he can post his articles there for evolutionary puzzles. There's different quizzes. Some of the quizzes that I've done here on my trivia, you can find here. And check it out. I also have audio podcast. Hey, Scientist Mel audio podcast. Some of the shows that I have here with different people. That's Oral Audacity with Doc. And then I also have articles. So if you want to check out the different articles that I've written, I write things. Cancer patients using alternative medicine at higher risk for death. So here's a lot of the stuff I've written. I have resources, all of my different slides. I also have a shop if you want to get some merch. I do have a section of my shop where the proceeds are donated to charity. It's for people who have bad behavior on the internet. I take the horrible things that they say. Sometimes it's about me. Put it on t-shirts and donate it to charities that they hate. It's usually people who are quite bigoted and not very nice. And so I can send it to very nice things like Planned Parenthood. That's one. And so a lot of that. So I have a lot of really cool stuff. You can check it out. Let's see, what's on number 15? I don't know what's on 15. Science is non-binary for my non-binary people, or my queer and STEM folks. If you're one of those individuals, you can check that out. But yeah, here's my Blocked By series, and I'll be expanding this a bit more when I'm able to add more designs. Right now I can't do that, but all the proceeds go to charity. So you can check it out there. Let me check out the chat really quickly, and I will let you guys go here in a bit. Let's see. Are we talking about Spider-Man? KN95. Okay, yep. Catching up. All right. Yep. We got some Spider-Man stuff going on in the side chat. Excess deaths is the only metric that matters. Exactly. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Just, and I just wear just regular mask. If you can't get treatment for kidney failure or internal bleeding because the hospital is overwhelmed with COVID patients, you're still a pandemic death, even if you didn't get the virus. Exactly. Exactly. And I don't think people understand that. I don't think they understand that. Okay. We're talking about Spider-Man. Two biologists quibbling over Spider-Man's origin story. Hey, Buster P, how you doing? Oh my goodness. Okay, so there you go. I guess I'll read a little Mr. Rogers, and I'm gonna leave y'all to it. I love Mr. Rogers. Let's see, which section should we look at? How about we are all neighbors? What do you make of the new CDC numbers, Mel, since they lowered it? I think that's from the that's an order from the top down, which means the CDC is likely compromised, and it's not so much that those numbers mean that COVID-19 wasn't a factor in the death of the people. So that's what I was saying a bit before. And I mentioned a story about a chiropractor whose wife died in a car accident, surgery associated with a car accident. She had stage 4 cancer. Had she not had stage 4 cancer, she probably would have lived, but he sells his fake treatment saying that he cured his wife because the death certificate says she got in a car accident. So that's the thing. So the way that they're reporting it now, they're like, well, it's like COVID-19, they died of pneumonia. Well, if they didn't have the COVID-19, they probably would have been all right. So that's where you get into anytime you have different things, or they died of kidney failure. Well, did they have a COVID-19 infection? So yes, like, share, and subscribe. Alrighty, so here we go. This is pretty good. We are all neighbors from The World According to Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers. I think I read Mr. Rogers on the stream I saw last night, where we had a little bit, we were doing karaoke and having a couple adult beverages, and then it got really silly. But, it's fun to be silly sometimes. Yes, Micro Raptor, he uses his dead wife to sell his lies. I absolutely destroyed him on my channel. And it's one of the Oral Audacity episodes. You can check it out there. Me and Doc were very upset about him. So, here we go. It's no secret that I like to get to know people, and not just the outside stuff of their lives. I like to try to understand the meaning of who people are and what they're saying to me. So we should all kind of do that a bit more. Understand the meaning of who people are and understand what they're saying to you. So if somebody's using racist rhetoric, if somebody is perpetuating and pushing propaganda, if they're using their platform and it's meant, and they're willfully pushing oppressive narratives meant to abuse other people and hurt or even kill them. They're showing you who they are. So it's no secret that I like to get to know people and not just the outside stuff of their lives. I like to try to understand the meaning of who people are and what they're saying to me. That is really important. Who are people, and what are they saying to you? How do you get to know who they are? So, there we go. So it's been awesome. Please do check out the show tomorrow. We've got Nervardia's on back again with This Week in BS. So please do check it out. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm not pushing heavy for my Patreon. I'm grateful for my patrons. I've got them in the video at the beginning. And I'm thankful for their continued support of my work. They've helped me get so many things that not only help me in my work here, but also help me in my actual day job too. I've been able to help so many people transition to an online world, particularly in academia. So it's been great and it's amazing. So check us out tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. And we'll see you then. You always make each day special for me. You know how? By just your being you. I'll see you next time. And I'll get sending squishy science hugs. Bye.